Joining us now with reaction is Reese Everson. She's a former staffer for the Congressional Black Caucus who accused a congressman of sexual misconduct. Reese, it is great to see you, and you're brave to come in, and we just really appreciate your voice here.
Thank you.
I know you want to make this about the general issue of sexual misconduct in Congress, because you were there, you were a fellow at the Congressional Black Caucus. Just briefly give us a rundown on what happened to you. You don't have to name the name, because I know for you it's traumatic, again, but tell me what happened.
Well, as I said, I've worked for the CBCF, and I, during that time, experienced harassment. And at that time, I didn't even know that it was harassment. I called it an inappropriate experience.
What were the comments? Or?
I experienced a conversation where a person basically offered me an opportunity to flirt with him in order to excel in my career. And that was the gateway for the harassment, me realizing, okay, I've got to get out of here. Because if I don't, then I only have one option, and that's to comply. And I don't want to participate in that, so I've got to just leave.
Well, when you say offered to flirt, like what? Give me a little more on that. I'm not following that.
So, Reese, are you going to be a good girl?
What does that mean? Yeah, what does that mean?
Well, if you're going to be a good girl, what's the point in you being there? And I'm like, what? And so he said, well, are you going to flirt with me? And so it was at that moment I realized, okay, you've got to get out of here, because this is a situation that is only going to turn for the worst. And as a young woman, your instinct is fight, flight, or freeze. And my instinct was to run. And I tried to get away from the situation by moving to another office. And that was not successful. I was retaliated against, wrongfully terminated, and then blackballed. And so my experience was a very traumatic one where not only because of speaking up did I lose my job, but my ability to find another job. And I think that that's the worst part of all of this, is the silence. It's a pervasive, incestuous silence that keeps women hidden and keeps women from speaking up because they don't have the courage to speak out against such a powerful person. This was in 2013? 2013.
How long, by the time you arrived for this fellowship, which is kind of cool to get? I mean, that's exciting when you get a job in Congress. You're a young woman and you're going in there and you're going to learn about how Congress works. And so, how long by the time you arrived at Congress to the time this conversation with this congressman began?
I had been on the Hill for about 7 months. 7 months.
And had you heard from other people on the Hill, other female staffers, that this had been a problem with other congressmen?
Yes.
Any word on this?
Yes. As a matter of fact, when you're applying for the different offices, or when they're interviewing you to work in different offices, you'll hear whispers, or women will say, okay, not that office, because that one has a history. So there's a little system, a tweeting system, if you will, a chirping maybe, and warning other young ladies to kind of stay away from certain people.
But you hadn't heard anything about this particular congressman?
No.
And so you weren't able to go to this accountability office because you were a fellow and not a full-time employee?
Well, the thing is, they let anyone submit an application for a complaint. And so I did submit a formal complaint. However, I'm ineligible because the CAA does not cover interns or fellows.
Now, that in and of itself is crazy. I mean, I'm not even sure I don't really like a lot about that accountability office, because it forces women or men complaining into counseling.
Mandatory
counseling. The person who needs counseling is the perpetrator. But so I don't even know if I like a lot of that. But if there's going to be protections in place, why the heck aren't they in place for interns and fellows? Why should you be treated any differently?
Absolutely. Those are the most vulnerable of the people on the Hill.
This is insane. So this happens. You moved offices. And when you were there, is it the same position, another fellowship?
Same position, and the office began to communicate, and so there's a conversation going on. Well, why did you leave?
Did you tell people?
I tried to explain, oh, well, I'm just looking for another, some other experience. But when you say that, the person I said that to, she said, well, why would you leave? They wanted to hire you full time. Are you an opportunist? Will you just leave us too? And I realized I have to tell this woman the truth, because she's not going to give me the credibility that I deserve.
So did another woman rat you out on this? And then that it became known that you were complaining about the other, and then she must have told. So the girl power didn't really work in your favor.
Not in that instance. Sometimes there's gatekeepers.
So women who are enabling
Absolutely.
on Capitol Hill or protecting their
system.
congressmen.
Absolutely. These women have had these jobs with these members for 15 and 20 years, and they like the job security.
I hope everybody across the country has just listened to this young woman, and this is outrageous.
Unfortunately.
Do you agree that the congresswomen who are in positions of great authority should name names?
Well,
I'm talking about the victims. I'm talking about the members who did this.
I think there should be a reporting system where the Congress people, it's like knowing, if you're an attorney and you see another attorney drunk driving, you have an obligation to the bar to report this attorney driving drunk the wrong side down the highway. So as a member of Congress, I think you have an obligation, if you know that another member is harassing young women or young men in their office, that you report it.
You don't want to identify the congressman?
Not at all.
No.
There's a fear of retaliation, even present day.
I really appreciate you coming here, Reese. This has got to stop. This has got to stop. This is insanity. And this is government that we pay for that's supposed to represent our interests. And there's people on a power trip up there. I don't know if they were, I said this last night, it sounds uncharitable, but I don't know if they were like geeks in school and they couldn't get any girls. And so now they get like a pin on their lapel and they think, oh, I got all the chicks at my disposal. But that's got to end.
As the show that said, what is it, House of Cards? Everything is about sex except for sex. Sex is about power. Ugh. And so you have these people with this power and they feel the ability to wield it over anyone that they see. It's kind of like Simba in The Lion King. You are the king over everything that you see in your kingdom. They feel that power over everything and everyone. And it's not fair for a young, beautiful woman to come in and for them not to have power over her.
Reese, thank you for telling this shocking, but I guess for a lot of people listening, it's probably not all that shocking given the low trust levels that Congress has right now.